Hi, I'm Fiona Blinco from DIY Digital, and in this video we're going to look at extra things you can do in Zoom to help your presentation. So this assumes that you already know how to log into your Zoom account, you know how to host a meeting, you've participated in meetings before. We're just looking for those extra little hints and tips to make your presentation or your hosting of a Zoom meeting work just that little bit smoother and to just become familiar with some of its features. So the first thing I'd like to show you is how to exit the full screen if you haven't yet discovered that. It does tend to default as the host to the full screen, and sometimes you want to be able to see what else is happening on your computer, on your desktop, and it's very hard to do that. So we go to the top right, and the top right you can actually see exit full screen, and you click on that button, and then if you click on it again you can go up to full screen again. So it's just a toggle switch at the top right for you to exit full screen and go back to full screen if you so wish. The next thing we're going to look at is sharing some of our slides and how we do that and some of the hints and tips. Now I have found sharing with PowerPoint is just a little bit better, behaves a little bit better than Keynote. So if you're a Mac user, which I am, and you usually use Keynote, you might want to consider perhaps using PowerPoints for Zoom webinars. They just behave a little bit better. If you've got Alt-Tab where you can flick between things, that is the part that behaves a bit better. But let's have a look at the share screen. So if I hover down to, or if I click on here, or if I hover down or move my mouse, generally speaking, when you move your mouse, that is when you will see this toolbar come up. Now, if you're just a participant in a meeting, you might not see all these same things, but as a host, you will be able to see these things. And we're going to go into share screen. And share screen allows you to share YouTube video tutorials, a slideshow, the whiteboard, and we'll go into the whiteboard a bit later. But for the moment, we're going to go into a PowerPoint slideshow. So I need to find where it is. There's the whiteboard, which we'll go to later. There always tends to be these AirPlay and iPad and things like that. And we've got my Finder and various other things, but this is my PowerPoint presentation. So I want to click on that and then press the share button. And that takes me to my PowerPoint presentation. And now this will behave like any PowerPoint presentation where if I click my mouse or use the arrow key, it will move the slides along, and if I use my back arrow, it will move the slides back. So I'll just do that now. So I click and it takes me to slide 2, I click and it takes me to slide 3, or if I use my back arrow, or up arrow, sorry, my up arrow takes me to slide 2, my up arrow takes me to slide 1, my down arrow takes me to slide 2. You get the gist. You can navigate this PowerPoint presentation I'm using as you would any other presentation when you're doing presentation. So that's fine. Now, how do you get back to Zoom if you want to get back to Zoom? Well, you need to stop share. So this red button up here is stop share, and then that automatically, if you like, takes you back to the Zoom interface where you can now talk to people. So we'll go into share again because I want to show you some other things. So that we went into share and we went into PowerPoint and then we clicked share. Now here we see another toolbar. We see the toolbar come up to the top. It's no longer up the bottom, but it's at the top. So it's in a different place. And that might at first confuse you. It's got this annotate thing, and it's got more, and it's got participants. There's a few things here, but these are the ones that I wish to concentrate on at the moment, okay? So if you're a sole presenter or you're the sole host and you don't have somebody else who is helping you do that job, clicking on participants can be very helpful because it brings up this participants window, and you can move by going to the top of this participants, the darker grey area, and clicking on it. You can move this to any part of the window that is suitable for you, that gets it out of the way, and you can resize it. Maybe you have some resizability by clicking and dragging right on the corner there. But if participants raise their hand or they do other things or they enter the room, you might be able to see them in this window, and that can be really useful. Now I'm going to hover over the green toolbar again. So this is the toolbar that is specific to when you are sharing either slides or whiteboard. So this is the share toolbar, if you like, this green one here. You want to hover over the green to bring it up. And if I go to more and click on more, I now get the option of chat. And here another window comes up. And if people are using the chat and you're the sole host or the sole presenter, you want to be able to see what they're chatting about and maybe answer them. So again, that's another window that you can slide to somewhere on your screen that will sort of have it out of the way, but somewhere where you can see, and you can keep an eye on the chat. So they're the two windows that I would recommend you have up. It was the participants and the chat, and you got to them by hovering over our green toolbar here, and the participants was right in view, but you had to go to more to see the chat one, and that's what I would suggest you do. So they're the two things that I use frequently when I'm sharing a slideshow, and I would encourage you to perhaps use them as well because they're super useful. The other thing I wanted to show you in this section was this annotate. Okay, so this is a little harder to use, but we bring up the annotate and now we've got a second toolbar, haven't we? We've got the drawing toolbar. So this is available when you're sharing a slideshow or you're sharing the whiteboard. It's this same toolbar that you get. And I want you to pay attention to this red cross over here. You have to click it to exit out of that, and the slideshow won't become active until you do click out of that drawing toolbar. So you might try and click on your slideshow to move it a slide along. You're going, why doesn't it move? And it's not moving because you've got the drawing toolbar active. So you have to we'll go back again to pick it up. We go to annotate, but as long as this is up, I'm clicking here and you can see slide 2 is staying as slide 2. It's not moving to slide 3. Whereas before I could move to slide 2 and slide 3, and I'm using my arrow keys here, nothing happening. But as soon as I click out of the drawing toolbar and now click, now it goes to slide 3. So you see this drawing toolbar, it takes quite a while to get used to, but that's just how it goes on and off, and you need to turn it off. But let's now look at what it does, because it does a few new things, nice things. So this draw thing here, if I bring this up, I can draw shapes, squares, circles, arrows. If I just draw a wavy line, and say I was giving a presentation, I really wanted to highlight something and make sure people were paying attention to a particular point, I might go right here, see right here, there's slide 3. I might do a wiggly line just to draw attention to it. Now the eraser, you click on the eraser, you don't have to now erase in a circle. That's not how this works. You just have to click with the eraser. Sometimes you have to click twice and then it goes. So you just have to click more or less in the vicinity of what you want to erase it. I'm going to just go back into the draw tool because there's something else I'd like to demonstrate. So if I go back here and click on annotate, pick up the draw tool, and now perhaps I'll go with the thick wavy line and draw something around like that. And now what I'll do is I'll exit out of the draw tool because that's all I wanted to do, let's say. And now if I click on this, it will go perhaps to the end of my slideshow because it went forward. So if I use my up arrow, it will go back. Now if I go to slide 2, see how that wavy line is still there? Slide 1, the wavy line stays. So you may not want it to stay, you might have only wanted it to be on one slideshow. So I just wanted to show you that, because what we need to do is go back up here, annotate, grab the eraser, and now click that so that it's gone. So that what you do use does change with you over the slides. So that's also useful to know. Now with this drawing toolbar, whether it be for a slideshow or it be on the whiteboard, I do recommend, if you want to use it, spend 5 or 10 minutes just practicing it, because it's got a whole lot of things here. It's got text, you can put text in if you want to, add text here. So, you know, you can add text, it's got an eraser, it's got a spotlight, it's got various things. But what I recommend is you play in your own time, because it really does take a little bit of getting used to. So that's the draw toolbar that is available on both the whiteboard and the slideshows. Now I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go back to my Zoom window here. So here I am back at the Zoom window. So I'm again in the normal view. Shall we call this the normal view? I'm just going to show the whiteboard quickly. Again, I go down to share. And now instead of going to my slideshow, I'm going to go to one across. And the whiteboard nearly always seems to be just one to the right of the desktop. Click on that and share. And here I come up with a whiteboard. And this whiteboard has, you can see here, has exactly the same drawing toolbar as what I've just shown you. So I can erase that, but that's a little bit of fun, the whiteboard. And again, I would just recommend that you practice that. And if I exit out of that and stop share, I now come back to my normal screen. Now I wanted to show you something that can happen in the middle of your meeting. If somebody arrives late, or they want to arrive late, or you realise you've forgotten to invite somebody, and something like that happens, you can, from within the Zoom system, if you like, while a meeting is progressing, you can invite people. And it's best to have your email open to do this, but it will copy the invitation for you, and you can, while maybe somebody else is talking or you've got something else happening, if you can get yourself 2 minutes to just kind of go, oh, I need to invite somebody. So that one does get used sometimes, because it just does happen, doesn't it? Now, just wanted to look at the account settings for a little while, because if you don't see things like breakout rooms or polls or whiteboards, it could be that your settings have not been enabled. So let's take a quick look at where they are. We go to admin, we go down to account management, we click on that, and then click on account settings. Now in this account settings, there must be at least 50 choices of things. I have not gone through all 50, but there's a couple that I think could be more useful than others. Now I have to scroll right down. So the first one I wanted to show you was that polling is in here. So if you don't have this enabled, if you don't have polls enabled, you might not be able to see poll as a choice. And if you want to do that, then you might want to go into your account settings. If I scroll down a little bit further, we can say there's a few settings here for screen sharing and whiteboards. And then here we get some breakout rooms. So if you want to do breakout rooms, by default, my memory is that this is turned off. So you need to turn it on. And one of the final things I wanted to show you with regard to sharing is how you would share if you've got music or sound that you want to share. So if you're sharing a YouTube video tutorial, or you're doing some music on your Zoom, we go down to share again, and here we have two little tick boxes. They're a little bit discreet, aren't they? But optimize screen share for video clip and share computer sound. So again, with a lot of these things, it is worth playing around for yourself to find out what suits you best. So that brings us to the end of our hints and tips with Zoom for hosts and presenters, and I hope that's helped.